we don't see a difference. Then we look at the brain and then we go, okay, let's scan the brain. Let's see which type of ADHD is it, and then target the medication because ADHD is not the same for everybody. Seven types, and every type has different behaviors, different challenges, and different gifts.
Wow, that's crazy. 7 times. It's the first time I hear that.
Mhm.
When was discovered that ADHD has 7 types?
It's been about 10 years ago, and you can research ADHD types on Dr. Daniel Amen's website. I'm Dr. Amen trained as well. He's a double board certified neuropsychiatrist who believes that before a psychiatrist treats a brain, they need to look at the brain. It's like cardiologist doesn't give you medication before he looks at your heart. There
And
you go.
okay, let me share with this the viewers. Give me a second. All right, so we are in this website called Smart Kids with High All. I don't know.
Disabilities.
Oh, okay, okay. It's Dr. Arman 7 types of ADHD. Uh, one is classic ADHD. Second is inattentive. Third is overfocused. Fourth is temporal lobe. Five, number fifth, limbic.
Limbic.
Six, Ring of Fire. Whoa. This goes hard. Ring of Fire. And seven is anxious. I'm sorry. Read Ring of Fire for a second. Symptoms: sensitivity to noise, light, touch, periods of mean, nasty behavior, unpredictable behavior, speaking fast, anxiety, and fearfulness. Okay, so that's just one of them. But I assume that, like everything, it's kind of like a scale and things overlap. Am I right?
Yes. Number six is usually combination of few ADD types and ADHD. Notice that these that he's describing don't have the hyperactivity effect, which is the H in ADD. But this is also how PTSD looks in the brain, a very similar pattern. So if you think about it, you can put in spec scan Ring of Fire ADD into a, we can show the audience if they're watching how a brain with type 6 would look like. It's called spec scan, SP E
Specs scan. I
C
think
T.
Google will correct. Spec scan.
There we go. And spec scan ADD Ring of Fire. There we go. And I want you to look at this one. Very good.
Wow. What
So
are we looking
notice,
at?
very good. So what you're looking at is the whole brain, amygdala, limbic system, prefrontal cortex. Everything is overactive. Everything is overactive, which means it's like if you look at the diamond shape on the side, there's how go to the left, go down. There you go. So this is a diamond shape, and this is very challenging for the brain because it's overworking. It's working way too hard. The red and the white is overactivity. Blue is no activity or normal activity. So imagine your brain working overtime and being overly stimulated. That's why you're not processing information. And we have new science right now and studies coming out. They're only few, but a lot of people who are called OTs, so occupational therapists, have been working with this. They're called primitive reflexes. There are 13 of those. And they have found over and over, and they're doing studies. There are four that are out on PubMed, but there are other ones too. And people are also kind of, bringing in the information that if your primitive reflexes that we all have at the beginning of our life are not integrated, then your brain finds it creates like this barrier in your brain. So your brain finds another way to connect the parts that it needs to connect, and it's a longer way or it's more challenging. And if we reintegrate those reflexes, very often, about 70% of cases in some studies show that the ADD symptoms disappear. See, because what we see outside is how your brain works. It's not your personality. It is your brain and function of your brain that creates a personality. And this approach changes everything because it's not you, it's your brain.
Oh my God, that's beautiful. It feels so liberating. I knew people in my life who would just just hang up the phone right now and curse at you. No, that's the way I am. That's who I am. Like, and I'll say like, whoa, chill. I would get scared when I would hear like people talking like, but it's not true. Like you're a professional. You're talking about. It's not. That's not the case. It's like all neuroplasticity, right? So that's. I assume that must be very liberating for those with ADHD.
It can be, and it also very often I would highly suggest not to self-diagnose. And there's so many different approaches, and I'm not going to criticize them because some people do need medication. But
Mm.
we're in this fast living society that we want just quick change without effort. And the truth is, your brain is your biggest asset. Your brain decides who you are. Your brain decides what job you take. Your brain decides who you fall in love with. Your brain decides what decisions you make and if you're going to make money and how's your business going to work. It's all your brain and how it functions and how healthy it is. So it's insane that we're skipping. I mean, now we're not. We're starting to really explore that part. And I am so excited that there are so many other methods that allow you to try to help your brain before you take the heavy medication because, no medications without side effects. That to say, supplements also have side effects. So don't overdo on them either. And blah, blah, blah. Let's go back. There's simple things that everybody can do, like do their blood work. See, your blood shows something that it helps produce neurotransmitters, which helps rewire your brain. It helps neuroplasticity to change your brain. And to make that brain work, well, it's kind of like building a house without bricks. If you have no bricks, you can't build a house. If you have no wood, you cannot build a house. If you have no curtains, you cannot shut, the window. And your body kind of produces those materials, but you have to make sure that it is producing it. And especially for people with depression, anxiety, PTSD, overwhelm, and ADHD, there are a few crucial things: hormones, magnesium, potassium, D3, ferritin, and iron. Those six things. And the interesting thing is that very often your regular doctor will say, oh, that's fine. You're in the norm. But for the brain, it's not enough. The lower levels are not enough in the norm. So you want to be usually in the between 50th and 70th percentile of the norm. Then your brain is getting enough of nutrients so it can calm down. If you have depressive states, if you have anxiety, if you have high stress levels, first thing you do, you start taking magnesium, you check your potassium, you check your iron and ferritin and D3. Those are the first things you do because very often that is related. Now, if that doesn't work and you raise those levels, we keep digging, right? But always start with the simplest solution. Sometimes it's not that challenging. And to give an excuse to those people who say that's the way I am, that's the way they are because they never done the work to find out what can they do to change it. And your brain creates your personality by the age of 7 and then just proves you right over and over. And you have no control over what it decides is important.
Mm.
Literally no control. It is up to us to learn how to kind of look inward and understand our beliefs, behaviors, and choose the change. And then rewire the brain for different behaviors, different thoughts. We now know, according to neuroscience, that you can change at any point in your life. 89, 90, not a problem. You just got to choose to.
I assume it gets harder though, right? Because I know for a fact regarding languages, the younger you are, the easier it is to learn a new language, and I would assume this is just it's just like it applies to everything else in life. That's what I would say. So like, if I cannot learn a language that easily when I'm 70, I'm assuming I can also cannot learn other things. That is, I'm not saying that I cannot learn it, but I guess it's way harder, right?
Okay, let's play around with that sentence. That easily. What is that easily? Because when you're a kid, you're learning a language every day for 8, 9 years before you're fluent.
Hmm.
How often, as an adult, you learn a language every day, 24/7, for 8, 9 years?
Oh, if you just immerse yourself in another culture, yeah, that's the only. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Um, I would like to go back regarding the quote unquote cure for ADHD. First, you need to look into your blood if you have all the vitamins, and so that's one factor. The other
I
fact,
wouldn't know cure, but managing ADHD in a way that you do not require medication. Word cure is a very strong word and it can be very misleading. But there are ways to optimize your brain and a way of resolving a lot of brain activity in a way that will not require medication.
I see. So optimization, managing.
Yes.
So,
Because if you do have ADHD, like I have epilepsy, I've managed with brain health and with a lot of different approaches to manage my epilepsy so I don't have seizures. But I am epileptic no matter what I do.
oh, that must
But
be.
I don't have the symptoms. I don't have the seizures. I don't have the absence. I don't have the grand mal. So if you actually do have ADHD, it's about optimizing your brain, managing the symptoms in a way that you will not require medication and they will not influence your daily life.
I see. I see. So the first one would be check your blood,
Yes.
check if you're taking all the vitamins. If you named them, you listed them.
Vitamins.
The,
It's the blood work that we're checking for, and if you have enough nutrients and neuro producing neurotransmitters. So that will be the first step. Another step you do, you go and get assessed for primitive reflexes and see if they have been all integrated. Reintegrating primitive reflexes for a kid is about 6 to 8 weeks. For an adult is 6 to 8 months. And there's specific exercises that are bilateral with stimulation, with red light, photon therapy. There are a lot of things that they do to reintegrate those primitive reflexes. And